Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Tales of Herding God Part 77 based on novel. So let's start. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor and his wife had come to Little Jade capital in the sky a dozen or so days ago. This city in the sky was like a paradise, with sceneries that were rarely seen in the mortal world. Has Imperial Preceptor gotten accustomed to here? A white-robed elder asked with a smile after coming over. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor said solemnly, Lit Jade capital lives up to its name. The sceneries here are extraordinary, which made me enjoy myself so much that I forgot to go home. Even though this place is good, it's far from the human world. My ambition isn't here, and I will still have to leave. May Hermit Qin Mu please forgive me. That old hermit Qin Mu smiled. There's no need for Imperial Preceptor to be in a hurry. This hermit has invited Imperial Preceptor as a guest, yet I haven't told you about the origins of Little Jade capital. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor said with curiosity, I'd like to hear the details. Hermit Qin Mu led the way as he brought Imperial Preceptor and his wife up a rainbow bridge. This structure was sculpted out from 7-colored jade, which stretched across the sky, so standing on the bridge was like standing on a rainbow. When at the center of the bridge, the scenery they could see from up there was different from what they could see from below. They could see that the mountains of Little Jade capital were arranged into a natural formation in the sky, while the palaces on the mountains were where the immortals lived. Little Jade capital city's origins are even more ancient than Imperial Preceptor must have imagined. Hermit Qin Mu smiled. The history here can be traced all the way back to the Founding Emperor period. Founding Emperor. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor had indeed not heard of Founding Emperor before and asked curiously, which country had the Founding Emperor period? Eternal Peace Empire never had an emperor that was called Founding Emperor. Founding Emperor isn't from Eternal Peace, he was from a land which was called Founding Emperor Empire, Hermit Qin Mu said. Imperial Preceptor should know that the Founding Emperor Empire is the current Great Ruins. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's body trembled slightly as he let out a shaky breath. Great Ruins. Hermit Qin Mu led them across the bridge and towards a mountain of immortals floating in the sky. Founding Emperor Era is what the Taoism calls it, while Buddhism refers to it as Emptiness Era. Formation, existence, destruction, and emptiness. So Emptiness Era is the fourth one. Now that Eternal Peace is rising, we Little Jade capital refer to the current time as Eternal Peace Era. During Founding Emperor Era, Great Ruins were prosperous. We Little Jade capital refer to the huge calamity that wiped out that place as Founding Emperor Calamity. Before Founding Emperor Calamity, there was also 3 calamities. The gaze of Imperial Preceptor's wife flickered. Elder said that the current time is referred to as Eternal Peace Era. So if Eternal Peace Empire is wiped out, are you going to refer to it as Eternal Peace Calamity? Madam is wise. Hermit Qin Mu smiled and pointed far away. There was a jade mountain floating in the sky, and a few Taoists were currently building a palace there. That palace over there is to store the history of Eternal Peace Era. When Eternal Peace Empire is wiped out, we can tidy up the coming and goings of Eternal Peace Calamity, leaving them as references for our future generations. Imperial Preceptor's wife couldn't resist asking, Elder, what kind of place is Little Jade capital? Is it good or evil? What intentions do you have for us, husband and wife? We have been here for quite a few days, and the Elder had let us tour around as much as we wished. Shouldn't it be time for you to say the true intention of Little Jade capital? We Little Jade capital have no intentions. We just want to observe Imperial Preceptor, to observe the reform, and record the things that we think will be useful for our future generations. Hermit Qin Mu smiled. We call ourselves immortals and not gods, because we don't want to interfere with how the world works. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor said, Immortals and gods, how are they different? Immortals are human, gods aren't. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor pondered it for a moment, then said, What you mean is that humans can't become gods, only immortals. Hermit Qin Mu smiled. Imperial Preceptor, having cultivated to divine bridge realm, what do you see when you stand on the divine bridge? Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor didn't say a word. Divine Bridge Realm was the 7th realm, after breaking the wall of Divine Bridge Divine Treasure, which was also the highest realm. Divine Bridge Divine Treasure is a bridge which leads to the God realm. However, it is broken within everyone, so no one is able to reach the other shore. It isn't different for Imperial Preceptor, am I right? Hermit Qin Mu continued, it's no different for the immortals of Little Jade Capital. We had seen countless divine treasures, and all the divine bridges were broken. Being unable to reach the other shore means that we can't become gods. Actually, based on our cultivation, we could be on par with the gods, yet the realm is broken. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor nodded. I had discovered this many years ago, and was distressed over this once. I had searched many ancient books, yet I couldn't find a way to solve it. Does Little Jade Capital have records of the broken bridge being reconnected? We have. Hermit Qin Mu led them to the palace up the Jade Mountain and said, however, even Little Jade Capital isn't capable of doing it. Because we couldn't become gods, we decided to become immortals. This is why we, the old and useless, have chosen to stay in Little Jade Capital. Even though we called ourselves immortals, once our allocated lifespans are up, our souls will return to the Yellow Springs. We aren't able to escape death. We are just seeking peace. Imperial Preceptor, Madam, over here. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor, and his wife followed him and walked into the palace. It was a place, but even though it had the faint air of the home of immortals, it was very cold and cheerless, with not a figure to be seen. Little Jade Capital was a cold and cheerless place like this. Hermit Qin Mu brought them through the long hallway and walked to the circular door, leading them into the depths of the palace. During founding Emperor period, there was indeed a bunch of people who had connected their broken bridges. They had built a glorious divine dynasty, which by now has turned into dust and no longer exists. The location of this divine dynasty is the great ruins of today. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor was slightly excited. There have been people who connected the bridge. In that case, did they become gods? Hermit Qin Mu nodded and smiled slightly. However, there are very few of these people now, and they are known as the people abandoned by gods. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor was stunned. Those abandoned people in great ruins? No. Almost no one has a complete divine bridge divine treasure among the abandoned people of great ruins. The immortals of our Little Jade Capital had gone to check before. Hermit Qin Mu pushed open a door and brought them inside. Eternal Peace Empire had received a prophecy before, am I right? They were told to restrict the abandoned people of great ruins from walking out of great ruins. Actually, what the oracle wanted you to guard against was not those abandoned people of great ruins, but the abandoned people from Carefree Village that are staying in great ruins. Their divine bridges are complete, and what the gods are guarding against are them. Rows of bookshelves were in front of them, and they were with thick ancient books that contained the history of founding emperor era, which the immortals of Little Jade Capital had recorded down. Imperial Preceptor just needs to read all these ancient books once, and you will know what had happened during founding emperor era and founding emperor calamity. Hermit Qin Mu bowed, paying his respects since he planned to retreat from this library. If Imperial Preceptor wants to continue walking down this path he has set, I'm afraid founding Emperor Era's history will become Eternal Peace Empire's history as well. Whatever founding Emperor Era faced, Eternal Peace Era will face as well. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor returned the bow and asked, Wanderation from your Little Jade Capital died under my hands, so why is Dao brother still letting me come here? Our Little Jade Capital does not interfere with worldly affairs and only records them. Once Wanderer Jin left the mountain, he was no longer an immortal of Little Jade Capital. His life and death were no longer related to us. Hermit Qin Mu said while walking out, both of you husband and wife are immortals of our Little Jade Capital while you are here, but when you leave, you will no longer be related to us. A saint appears every 500 years, and we Little Jade Capital are interested in observing the saint of this current dynasty, to see if he can do what the saints of the past could not. Weird rules. The eyes of Imperial Preceptor's wife shifted and landed on the ancient scrolls. Husband, there are some problems with Little Jade Capital's origin, I think they're the descendants of founding Emperor Empire. That is possible. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor sat down and picked up a book. They have no ill intentions, so there's no need to guess their goals. I want to see the history of founding emperor, since the current times is a reflection of the past. In the great ruins, a certain devil was speaking. I just wanted to find a lowly world for my people to settle in, to find a place for them to live and reproduce. I don't want to wage a war on your world. Juqian Devil King had a blank gaze as he muttered, our Juqian is at its death door. So if we fight with you guys, we are really going to go extinct. I have to take responsibility for my race. Let me return. I have to find another lowly world, let me return. Hu Linga looked at Qin Mu and asked in a low voice, young master, should we let him return? He looks pretty pitiful. How do I know if he really plans to return, or if it's a lie? Qin Mu shook his head. He is just a consciousness, while his true body is still in Juqian. He can continue to search for another world with that, so there's no need for this consciousness to return to Juqian. If he doesn't return and instead hides somewhere to summon his true body, won't I be guilty? You can't believe a word this fellow says. If you believe him, you'll lose instantly. Border Dragon City is right in front of us, and it's only 1,000 miles away from disabled elderly village. Border Dragon City was already in their sight, so Qin Mu was finally at ease. He had finally reached his own territory. Young Master. Young Master has returned. Young Master, how is Eternal Peace Empire compared to our great ruins? Qin Mu brought the Dragon Chiline into Border Dragon City, and many store owners on the way waved towards him. He smiled and returned their greetings. Eternal Peace Empire is much more chaotic than our great ruins. Rebellions happen every day, and wars are waged constantly. It's not a good place. That's right, there were many immigrants who had escaped to great ruins. They all said they were running from war and disasters. It's good young master is back. Home is the safest after all. Qin Mu came to the City Lord's manor and asked, has the City Lord returned? City Lord had come back a few days ago before leaving once more. Does young master want to stay? Little one will go and prepare a banquet to hold a welcoming reception. There's no need, Qin Mu said. New Year is coming. I have to return to the village first. Border Dragon City was his and Granny Sai's property since some time ago, due to most of the people here being people of Heavenly Devil cult. The only difference from outside was that the followers of Heavenly Devil cult outside referred to Qin Mu as Cult Master Sacred Teacher, while followers in Border Dragon City referred to him as Young Master. The owner of this city was Granny Sai, after all, and Qin Mu was the child she had raised, so it was natural he was called Young Master. Qin Mu continued on the journey home. The distance of 1,000 miles was very short, and with the foot power of the Dragon Chiline, they could reach disabled elderly village in half a day. The Dragon Chiline stepped on the river surface and moved upstream. The sunlight of the winter sun provided warmth as it shone down, and it was not chilly like in Eternal Peace Empire. Qin Mu remembered how he had broken the ice tide with Xian Qing'er last year. Right then, he saw Xian Qing'er smoking fish with the villagers. By rubbing salt on the huge fish hanging under the tree by the river, and using moist firewood to smoke them, the smoky flavor would seep into the meat. The people of this village had caught many huge fish that were taller than a human, and they hung on the tree. The flesh of these fish was bright and shiny. The villagers rarely went out to hunt during New Year's, so they could only rely on these catches to survive through this winter. Qin Mu stopped the Dragon Chiline, and the little girl with 3 braids blinked her bright and beautiful eyes at him. The one that herds cows, you're returning home in glory. Is outside fun? Qin Mu smiled. It's okay, I'm getting chased by people everywhere I go. Didn't the monks of Little Thunderclap Monastery come to find you? Pooey pooey, go and touch wood. The monks of Little Thunderclap Monastery have not found their way here yet. Xian Qing'er was curious, though. What bad things have you done? Why are people chasing after you so much? I guess it's because I'm too outstanding. Qin Mu raised his head and pondered it. He felt that what he said was definitely correct. I'm too outstanding, so people are jealous of me and chase everywhere I go. He waved his hands to bid goodbye, and Xian Qing'er immediately said, I'll go play with you when I'm free. Don't let your elders kill me. Okay. When the sun started to set in the west, Qin Mu finally reached disabled elderly village. Just as he had entered it, he saw over a dozen hen dragons that were taller than a human surrounding him with unpleasant looks. At their head was that old hen, which became agitated when she saw Qin Mu and pointed her wings at him while clucking non-stop to the other hen dragons. It was as if she was telling them that this brat was an egg thief. I merely went outside for half a year, and now there are so many hen dragons in the village. Qin Mu seemed to have met his greatest foes and shouted out, Times have changed. I'm now the cult master, sacred teacher of heavenly saint cult. Even if you hens outnumber me, I'm not afraid at all. Cluck! 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 The flock of hen dragons swarmed forward and drowned him out. The feathers of these hen dragons were like swords, and they spewed fire like dragons. With sharp claws which could split stone and metal, they were incomparably fierce. Hu Ling'er saw this situation and immediately said, Young master, I shall go home first to have a look. When she had said it, she disappeared like a wisp of smoke. After a moment, Qin Mu forced back the flock of hens while panting heavily. His face was covered in blood, and his hair was all messed up with chicken feathers stuck in it. In front of him, the head of the hen dragons brought the flock to walk away with their heads held high as they patrolled the village. Jiutian Devil King laughed as he rejoiced in Qin Mu's misfortune. Rascal, you can't even beat a flock of hens. Qin Mu pulled out the chicken feathers from his hair. And you're someone who lost to a fellow who can't even defeat a flock of hens. Granny, village chief, I'm back. Why didn't any of you come to save me when you saw me getting bullied by a flock of hens? Why is no one here? Qin Mu walked around the village, surprised. Village chief and apothecary's rooms were empty, and the other people of the village had not returned either. Qin Mu could only find a few slips of paper, which he opened up. The first slip wrote that village chief, apothecary, and devil cult patriarch were going to search for Carefree Village. If anyone came back, they should first help apothecary feed his insects. The second slip was in Butcher's handwriting, which said that village chief and the rest had yet to return, so he was worried about their safety. So blind, and he was going to search for them. The third slip was left behind by Mute, and it said that Blind and Butcher had not returned as well, so he was going to find them. The fourth slip was left behind by Cripple and Old Ma, saying that village chief and the rest might have met with danger. They could move fast, so they had gone out to find them. The fifth slip was left behind by Granny Sai, which said that the old geezers were always causing trouble. She had left to find them and told Qin Mu to not wander off. Granny and the rest are really worrisome. Qin Mu shook his head and placed his luggage down. He went to pluck a few leaves from the herb garden outside the village, then opened the pots in front of apothecary's door and placed the leaves inside them. In the pots, the starving insects immediately snatched the food. Qin Mu then walked into apothecary's room and found a few spirit pills, which he shattered and scattered into other pots. He then washed his hands to cook dinner. These broken pots. Jiutian Devil King saw the broken pots, which kept the little insects, and was greatly shocked. His gaze then landed on the water cauldron in front of the smithy and was shocked again. This huge water cauldron, that rake, that pot, and all the other treasures strewn everywhere. Lord Devil King, stop wandering around, you have more arms, so come and help me cook a few dishes. Qin Mu summoned him over. When the last of the sun rays disappeared, darkness came pouring over from the west and surged towards the east like a huge flood, swallowing all the mountain ranges on its way and drowning out great ruins. Qin Mu was long used to this sight, and didn't pay any attention to it as he served the dishes with an apron around his waist. However, Jiutian Devil King was seeing such a terrifying sight for the first time, so he was dumbfounded and couldn't say a word. Just before the darkness was about to drown disabled elderly village, a lean elder walked in with a book basket on his back. The darkness swept over right at that moment and whooshed towards the east around disabled elderly village. Grandpa deaf. Qin Mu was surprised and delighted. He immediately put down his bowl and chopsticks to welcome him. Def's clothing was old and tattered, which made it evident that he had not lived well outside. He placed down his book basket and asked, "Is there food? I've been starving for a few days." "Food is just ready." Qin Mu immediately washed another set of bowl and chopsticks. Def sat down and gorged himself, taking a breath after eating 4 to 5 bowls of food continuously. Qin Mu poured another bowl of soup for him and asked in bewilderment, "Grandpa Def, where have you been these days?" The corners of Def's eyes twitched, and he grumbled, "Eternal peace. I went to find Mute, but I couldn't do it, and I used up all my travel expenses, so I could only sell my paintings." The elder's voice was pained when he spoke. The people of today have sadly degenerated. Degenerated? I actually didn't manage to sell even one painting. When I was extremely starving, I met old woman Sai who spared me some cash, even if she mocked me for a long time. That's right, don't speak about this to apothecary, that guy always laughs at me for not earning as fast as he can by selling medicine. Jutian Devil King stared wide-eyed. This old geezer was a top-notch expert. So could he be the painting expert, who had painted that sword god? This kind of great expert, had actually come close to starving to death. Couldn't he have gotten money by force if he didn't have any? Qin Mu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Grandpa Def, now that the world is not peaceful, who would buy paintings for pleasure? If you lack money next time, you can sell them to Imperial Preceptor's manor, since Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor will definitely be willing to spend a huge sum to buy them. Def shook his head. I eliminated several thousands of Eternal Peace Empire's soldiers, so if I went to his house to sell my paintings, he would definitely take me down. I can't win against him. Qin Mu beamed. You can find me in Imperial College, all I have is money. I can buy all of the paintings you have painted. Are there any left in Grandpa Def's book basket? You can sell them to me, I'll pay you now. I've burned them all, Def said nonchalantly. Where are the others? Have they not returned? Burned? Qin Mu felt pained. If Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor was here, he would definitely puke 3 liters of blood up. He took out the slips of paper apothecary and the rest had left behind, and Def read through them before saying, "Their handwritings are really ugly. I'll have a good night's sleep tonight, and go find them tomorrow." Who is he? Only now did he notice Jutian Devil King, and the other said proudly, "I'm the master of Jutian, the ruler of Jutian. There's no need for you to pay respect to me." He's really ugly. Def got up and returned to his room to sleep. "I'm the Lord Devil King of Jutian." Jutian Devil King retorted angrily. Qin Mu said with good intentions, "Devil King, Grandpa Def can't hear." "Bullshit, he was able to hear you just now." Qin Mu explained, "Sometimes he can hear, sometimes he can't." Jutian Devil King was speechless from anger. Qin Mu cleaned up the bowls and chopsticks before getting ready for bed. "Devil King, don't wander about at night. The darkness is very dangerous." Jutian Devil King said yes repeatedly and thought to himself, since the rascal doesn't dare to enter the darkness, now is the best time for me to leave. I just need to enter the darkness, and I'll be able to shake him off. Then I'll be able to host the sacrificial ceremony to summon my true body. Not long later, Qin Mu fell asleep, and the snoring could be heard from his room. Jutian Devil King tiptoed toward the outside. The stone statues in the 4 corners of the village were giving off a faint glow, so the surroundings weren't too dim. However, the places which the light from the stone statue couldn't shine on were pitch black, and nothing could be seen in them. Jutian Devil King carefully came to the village entrance and hesitated for a moment. He stretched out a finger into the darkness, and heard nibbling sounds. Pulling his palm back, he couldn't help being stunned. His finger had already vanished, having been eaten by something in the darkness. Jutian Devil King sized up his wound, and his heart trembled slightly. He probed, "Gang Nuo Dida Hey, who is in the darkness?" Silent came from the darkness. After a while, a sinister-sounding voice answered, "A Pugaoni Hen, who are you yourself?" Jutian Devil King's spirit jolted, and he was about to say something when a voice spoke behind him. "What are you doing?" Why are you speaking the devil language? Qian Devil King saw Deaf, who had appeared behind him at some point in time, and his heart tightened. The ears of this Deaf are so sensitive. Wait, isn't he a deaf person? Deaf yawned and raised his brush to write a fix word on his body before going back to sleep. Qian Devil King couldn't move at all. He wanted to say something, but he couldn't make a sound either. The next morning, Qin Mu woke up early to prepare breakfast. The dragon Qilin brought a face basin and placed it in front of Qin Mu before sitting down to wait for his food. Deaf ate to his fill. Mua, I shall go out to search for village chief and the rest to come back for New Year's, while you and your big dog shall stay here to look after the village. Qin Mu gave a sound of acknowledgement. The dragon Qilin ate the scarlet fire spirit pills while speaking in a low and muffled voice. I'm not a big dog. I'm an auspicious beast that's half dragon and half Qilin. Deaf didn't hear him and walked out of the village. He raised his brush and painted a dragon in the sky, then rode into the sky. Qian Devil King was still standing by the entrance, unable to move. Qin Mu put away the bowls and chopsticks while thinking to himself, I wonder how Devil Ape that big fella is doing these days. I should bring some presents to him. He saw Qian Devil King and gave a smile before saying softly, Gang Nuo Dida Hey. Qian Devil King's heart was slightly shaken. This brat also knew. Qin Mu made the dragon Qilin guard the village while he headed towards Doom Suppression Palace. Before he could walk far, he heard one of the many names of Buddha. Amitabha. Heavenly Devil Cult Master, fancy meeting you here by sheer luck when one has searched far and wide for you. Never would I have thought this little monk will meet Cult Master here. A monk in ragged clothes appeared in front of him. They were both astonished to have met each other. Qin Mu immediately recognized this monk as the one that had attacked his treasure ship in Eternal Peace Empire. He had used Junior Protector Sword to injure his leg, but he could still sprint like flying. How do I address you, monk? Qin Mu smiled and looked around. When he didn't discover Long Jianan and the rest, he let out a sigh of relief. This monk had clearly been chased by Lonely Mountain Ridge Root Demon and met with all kinds of unfortunate events in Great Ruins, one of which was getting separated from Long Jianan and the rest. With him having escaped in a panic, they had met up here by coincidence. Little monk's name in religion is Ban Kai. Monk Ban Kai raised his head at the sky, and 2 trails of tears rolled down his cheeks as he sighed ruefully. My Buddha of compassion, the virtuous achievements of little monk can finally come to their successful conclusion. Heavenly Devil Cult Master, you have done too much evil, so let this little monk send you on your way. Qin Mu said solemnly, Monk, you said I have done too much evil. Please name one evil I have done to let me accept my death wholeheartedly. Monk Ban Kai had an awe-inspiring murderous intent, as he rushed over with his Buddha rays shining brilliantly. You are the Heavenly Devil Cult Master, and that's the greatest evil you've done. If there's a life to come for you, reincarnate to become a good person. Vajra unbeatable. Buddha rays shone brilliantly from Monk Ban Kai, and his muscles swelled, becoming 12 yards tall. The 9 rings monk staff also became bigger like a huge sun behind the head of a huge Buddha. This was Vajra unbeatable technique of Buddhism, a kind of technique whose forte was the divine arts of the corporeal body. There are many kinds of techniques in Buddhism. The forte of some of them is the frame of mind, so they cultivate spells and divine arts, while others are known for their wisdom and cultivating knife and sword skills. There are also those of the battle technique school, whose forte are divine arts of the corporeal body. Even though Vajra unbeatable technique took the path of the battle techniques, it was different from others. Some spells were mixed into this technique. However, unlike Chancellor Ba Shan's fusion of battle techniques and spells, the spells of Vajra unbeatable technique were hidden in the monk staff or prayer beads. Through the daily cultivation with their monk staff and prayer beads, the monks would chant the Buddhist scriptures non-stop, refining their evil thoughts into the prayer beads, and the divine arts in the Buddhist scriptures into the monk staff. When it came to battle, they could release the evil thoughts in their prayer beads, transforming into a fiendish battle stance, while the spells in the monk staff were methods to catch an enemy off guard with a surprise attack. Qin Mu had experienced the strong points of Vajra unbeatable technique before. This technique would turn one's body incomparably durable after executing the body of Vajrayaksa, to the extent that the person could take on the blow of Junior Protector Sword. Furthermore, the monk's strength would become so outrageous that he could push Qin Mu's treasure ship down. Qin Mu executed Overlord Body 3 Elixir technique, and his body trembled. A ray of golden light shot down from the sky and poured into him, transforming his corporeal body into a golden god. Tiger claws, fur, and head grew out from his body while he stepped on twin dragons and held a bronze battle axe formed from golden chi, which was like a huge hatchet. A golden snake hung on Qin Mu's left ear and hissed while taking in and sending out golden chi. What he had executed was Venus Sovereign Gold Marquis technique, a god transforming into the form of Venus Sovereign to control all the gold chi in existence. There were many secrets hidden in 5 Elements realm, and Qin Mu originally had an extremely high achievements in it. With the guidance of Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor, cultivating the god transformation of the 5 great star sovereigns had allowed him to surpass the other strong practitioners of 5 Elements realm by leaps and bounds. Truly, the spell of devils. Monk Ban Kai saw his body transforming and sneered. The 9 rings of his monk staff danced in the breeze and swelled up, before smashing down suddenly like a huge hammer with 9 golden rings. As Qin Mu's bronze battle axe clashed with the 9-ringed monk staff, a terrifying power exploded from the both of them. Qin Mu moved back repeatedly from the vibrations, and the twin dragons under his feet flew out to climb onto Monk Ban Kai's body, tangling with his legs. At the same time, the golden rings of the 9-ringed monk staff flew out one after another and hit Qin Mu's head, causing sparks to fly out in all directions. Qin Mu ended up tumbling back a distance away. Monk Ban Kai was of the 6 Directions realm, after all, and he was a divine arts practitioner with a lot of tricks up his sleeves. With a trample, both of the golden dragons were shattered into pieces. Once he grabbed his monk staff and leaped back up in the air, the 9 golden rings whooshed back onto his monk staff while he was in mid-air. Boom! Monk Ban Kai smashed his monk staff downwards onto Qin Mu. His feet were on the ground, but he couldn't stop himself from sliding backwards, plowing a deep pit in the ground. The bronze battle axe in his hand was also smashed into pieces. Monk Ban Kai rushed over at an extremely fast speed, and was in front of him in a few steps. His monk staff swept forward, and another loud boom rang out, as he smashed Qin Mu repeatedly until the other couldn't get a stable footing and flew backwards. The monk staff hummed while the 9 golden rings clanked as they smashed onto Qin Mu's chest, throwing him hundreds of yards away, and destroyed a part of the forest. Mount Meru Mudra, Tut. Monk Ban Kai rose into the sky and started to chant an incantation, as he smacked Qin Mu down with a palm. The ground trembled, and the trees collapsed, revealing a handprint that was the size of 3 Rs, deeply imprinted into the ground. In the meantime, an apparition of Mount Meru materialized above this handprint, with countless symbols of Buddhist texts swirling it. Amitabha, the demon of the devil path, has finally been executed, due to a virtuous achievement of this little monk. Monk Ban Kai landed on the ground holding the monk staff with one hand while the other was in front of his chest. Standing outside of the handprint, he paid his respects. Little monk isn't a person that's fond of killing, and exhibiting such a swift means today was merely to rid the evil from this world. There was no other choice. Little monk shall recite a paragraph from the scriptures of rebirth in the Pure Land, sending the damned soul of the cult master to paradise, to not do evil anymore. Just as he was about to chant the scripture, he felt his hair standing up on end and immediately leaped away. The ground split open, and gold chi spikes rose up from the ground, frantically stabbing into the air. The monk staff of Monk Ban Kai smashed down, and the 9 rings swept in all directions, crumbling the gold chi spikes. He then saw the apparition of Mount Meru crumbling as gold chi gathered to form countless sword lights. They then gathered into one, which was dozens of yards long, and stabbed into the chest of Monk Ban Kai with a ding. The monk felt pain when his chest was stabbed by that sword light. He suddenly shouted loudly, and Buddha voice came from the prayer beads on his neck. Buddhist runes poured out from the vibrations, and the scriptures were like hoops that covered that sword light, layer after layer. As the scriptures continued swirling, they finally stopped the sword. At this moment, light suddenly flashed in front of Monk Ban Kai, and a huge wave rushed into the sky in front of him. Before it, Qin Mu transformed into a red-haired snake body of water Marquis Mercury Sovereign, who was holding a trident in his hand. The trident stabbed towards Monk Ban Kai, and huge waves rushed up, transforming into a huge mudra, which came pressing down on the opponent. Monk Ban Kai shouted loudly, and his Buddha rays shone brilliantly. He raised his hand to block, but found that a boundless strength was overwhelming him, smacking him away ruthlessly. The trident reached his chest and transformed into a three-headed dragon, which surged forward while pressing onto his body. He heard a loud bang as it and the torrent slammed him against the ground, creating a huge pit around him. The wave dispersed, and Monk Ban Kai immediately stood up. In his face was a bull-headed human-bodied monster, who rushed at him while stepping on two fire dragons. The heart of this monster's brows opened up, revealing its bull eye, and a beam came rushing over at a speed of lightning. Monk Ban Kai raised his hand to defend his neck and felt a searing pain on his palm. Two of his fingers had been severed. Panic started to arise in his heart. He grasped the nine-ringed monk staff with a hand and used it like a hammer. The head of the staff swelled up, becoming larger and larger. The staff then was like a mountaintop smashing forward, while his other hand made a mudra which smashed forward. Qin Mu transformed into Mars Sovereign's form, and gave an angry bellow. His strength was boundless, and a fire bottle gourd appeared behind his back. When he took this fire bottle gourd into his embrace, blazing true fire spewed out from inside it, and the flames scorched the nine-ringed monk staff red hot. Molten gold leaked out from it continuously. Monk Ban Kai was astonished. Nine-ringed monk staff was the spirit weapon he had painstakingly refined and one which had the blessing of Buddha. Yet it couldn't defend against the true fire from this bottle gourd, and if it was melted, he would lose a major weapon. However, now was not the time to think it through. He could only risk his spirit weapon getting destroyed and brace himself to smash Qin Mu to death. Bang! The fire bottle gourd exploded from the attacks, and the two fire dragons under Qin Mu's feet also shattered into pieces. Monk Ban Kai immediately followed up with Mount Meru Mudra, and Qin Mu's body suddenly trembled. A ray of green light shot down from the sky, and he transformed into the form of Wood Marquis Jupiter Sovereign, which had a human head, bird's body, and bird feet. With two wings on his back and two green dragons under his feet, he flapped his wings and rose into the sky to avoid Mount Meru Mudra. Once he came into the sky above Monk Ban Kai, the willow whip in his hand came smacking down against Monk Ban Kai. The moment the monk raised his hand to defend against the whip, he felt that something was wrong. This whip was actually incomparably soft, and coiled around his arm like a green snake. The willow whip then suddenly grew, and coiled around his whole body. In the blink of an eye, the willow whip had become thick as a water barrel, turning into a willow tree, which coiled around its target tightly. At the same time, the two green dragons under Qin Mu's feet were shrinking as they transformed into two trails of green qi which entered Monk Ban Kai's nostrils. Arriving in this world empty-handed, leaving this world empty-handed. 6 senses, be sealed. Monk Ban Kai sealed his senses so that the two trails of green qi couldn't enter his body, and were then purified by his Buddha rays. The prayer beads on his neck exploded one after another, and evil thoughts poured out from them, returning to his body. The evil in Monk Ban Kai erupted, and he gave a bellow. His corporeal body swelled up once again, and shattered that willow tree in pieces, as he gave an angry roar. When Grandpa Buddha gets angry, even the heavens have to give way. Demon, die. Just as he shouted that out, Qin Mu transformed again, turning into a human-headed snake-bodied form, while the gate of heaven influence appeared behind him. With two pig-slaughtering knives in his hands, he rushed straight at his enemy. Explosive sounds rang out endlessly. The Buddha rays and sparks burst out continuously from the surroundings of Monk Ban Kai, and there was not a single scratch on him that was caused by the pig-slaughtering knives. Grandpa Buddha had the body of Vajra, nothing can break through it. Monk Ban Kai had a malicious expression, as the monk staff in his hand smashed down frantically. Qin Mu's knives collided with it, and a huge bang rang out, which pushed the birds and beasts in the forest around them into fleeing. Suddenly, the knives in Qin Mu's hands cracked and exploded, unable to withstand the immense power of the two's fight. At the same time, the monk staff in Monk Ban Kai's hands also exploded. Die! Monk Ban Kai screamed continuously, and his fists, which were as heavy as mountains, came raining down. Qin Mu roared in anger, and his muscles bulged as electricity surrounded his body. He executed Thunderclap 8 strikes, and the green dragon coiled around his body as he clashed directly with Monk Ban Kai. The two small giants exchanged heavy blows in the forest, when suddenly Junior Protector Sword flew out and stabbed into the huge sun behind Monk Ban Kai's head at a lightning speed. Monk Ban Kai was astonished and immediately raised his hand to defend. At this moment, Qin Mu punched like sunshine, refining the young soul in the sky. Monk Ban Kai's soul wavered for a moment, and he didn't manage to block that sword light, allowing Junior Protector Sword to pierce through the huge sun behind his head. His Vajra unbeatable technique was instantly broken, and his body started to shrink. Qin Mu sent another punch his way, and the bones in Monk Ban Kai's body trembled violently as he grunted and retreated. Qin Mu's punches rained down like howling wind and torrential rain, causing pain to Monk Ban Kai. He became more and more frightened, then turned around to run. With a few ups and downs, he had already escaped to the sky. Qin Mu paused for a moment as he looked at the sky. The speed of the escapee was extremely fast. He ran 6-7 miles in just a few breaths' time. Only then did he stop so a lotus could bloom under his feet to lift up his body, as he thought to himself, "This devil is powerful since he has too many tricks up his sleeves. But his speed isn't that fast, so he can't catch up to me. I can still reorganize myself." Just as he thought this, a loud boom rang out, and he immediately turned back to have a look. At that moment, he couldn't help being stunned when he saw Qin Mu breaking through the air like he was flying. His speed was such that the monk could not even see him clearly. Boom! Qin Mu's fist bashed into Monk Ban Kai's face, and it caved in its entirety. The power of Tempest of the 9 Dragons poured into his head and exploded with a bang. In the sky, blood light was accompanied by 4 to 5 green dragons that bore fangs and brandished claws. Among their snarls, a headless corpse fell from the sky. Dumb monk, I could let you run 10 miles first. This video will end here.